What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Impact Defense Podcast. In this podcast, we are going to be talking about road rage.
Yay.
No, we're going to how to have the most road rage.
Oh.
So once again, it's just me and Jada. I think Kylie's kind of like taking us a little bit of sabbatical away from the podcast, just a little bit, until she has had a lot of like extra schoolwork and crap to get done. So she's taking a little bit of sabbatical, unless we have a special guest, and then she definitely wants to be on for those. What is the flavor of coffee today?
All I remember is requesting something strong.
Brutal Awakening.
It's Brutal Awakening.
Brutal Awakening. Coffee flavor of the day. Or I guess of the week, since this is a weekly podcast.
Brutal Awakening. The only thing that works better is a punch in the face.
I like Brutal Awakening. I really, really do. It was one of the first flavors we tried. That one and chocolate cherry were the first two flavors that we tried. I was completely sold on blackout coffee at that point in time. And sometimes we mix the Brutal Awakening with the chocolate cherry for our morning coffee.
It is good. It is good.
But anyway, Brutal Awakening. One of like the last podcast, it was just me and you. You were like, to quote Skillet, now you're quoting God. And okay, I just found it funny because it was about the same time last podcast.
They're both very quotable.
True. All right, so Brutal Awakening.
Me before coffee, I feel like a monster.
All right, so moving on. Blackout Coffee, head over to impactgear.live/coffee. And if they do not have an awesome coupon code available for everybody with a big sale going on, make sure to use the coupon code ImpactDefense because that will always get you 10% off. But remember, always go to impactgear.live/coffee.
Today's news story comes to us from True Road Rage Stories of Reddit. So this person says, I will not say who this story is about. I mean, that's fine, but it's not like we would know who you were talking about anyway.
Very true.
But I was a passenger in a car when an SUV cut us off. My driver has a bit of a ragey streak, so I passed him, got in front, and then went the same speed as the car next to him to keep this guy from getting around.
That's never good.
Yeah. Soon we got to a stoplight. SUV driver got out of his car, leaving it at the green light, ran over to our car and started banging on the window and screaming about how the driver thinks he's tough. Driver pulled out his concealed carry weapon and put it on the dashboard. SUV driver left. This is what happens in a battle of road rage. One-up manship.
Yeah.
The crazy man with gun wins.
All right, first
Gotta
off.
love Reddit.
All right. That was interesting. Interesting. Lots of wrong there. The thing is, don't get caught up in situations like that. Be nice and calm and cool and collected. And I think a lot of us have, if you've driven for enough time, you've had some moment where you've done some things like, that was aggressive. That
or
was
a little petty.
Yes. I've got two instances in mind. That myself, I'm just telling on myself for a moment. One, we were coming back from the beach. Now, we did not leave from the beach until the morning of a time when I still had to be here to teach classes and work. And so we were kind of in a hurry on the way up the road. And this one tow truck that was towing a big tractor trailer had gotten right in front of us. It was really, really bothering my wife because she had just been in a head-on collision probably like a year before.
And you don't recover from those quickly.
No, you get there's a lot of PTSD. I mean, this is
really think about a head-on collision. Like you see that car coming at your car and then slamming into it.
Yeah.
It's not the same as something unexpected.
No, it was really, really bad, like on so many levels, because like at the end of it, afterwards she had to learn to walk again. She was in a wheelchair for a while, all of this kind of stuff. So, which I know you know this, but not everybody that's listening knows this. So when she was really, really having problems with this was maybe a year afterwards. I said, fine, we're in a hurry anyway. I pulled out and went around the guy. Well, the other guy got pissed off that I pulled out and went around him. So now he is like, pull out, get around me, and then just try to sit in front of me. And if I tried to get over anything, he would get over. He got really aggressive. Looking back now, I think, if I had just said, forget it, and I just like pulled off the road at a stop somewhere and waited for like 5 minutes and just let him go down the road, I would have been much, much better off. But no, I ended up kind of getting into this because I got pissed off and he got pissed off. And now, we're in this situation. I thank God nothing ever happened and came of that. But It was just dumb. And I got caught up in a moment where I was just trying to be nice to my wife. And then aggression started to fly because apparently he just got mad because I passed him.
Yeah, see, that's something that people need to think about is everyone assumes their anger is righteous anger, you know? Everyone has their own perspective, and pretty much nobody does something when they feel like they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're in the wrong and you do it on purpose, I don't understand you very much. But anyway, really think about that. Everybody, all you see is the tip of the iceberg when most of it's under the water. That person did not know that your wife was in a head-on collision a year before.
Yeah.
And they do not realize just how big of a jerk that they were being.
Yeah. No, I can guarantee his story would be completely different if he retells that story. It'd be completely unless he is just a jerk. His story, which is probably not the case.
Yeah. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. In that moment, I was having a hard time. Now, I would never, ever get caught in a situation like that again because now I know the stupidity of that moment, and I know the best thing to do would just been pull off.
No, I was talking about the other guy. I usually try to give people the benefit of the doubt when they're ticking me off while driving, and he was just mad that you guys pulled around in front.
Yeah.
If he'd have just given you the benefit of the doubt and assumed you had a reason, the whole thing would have ended a whole lot sooner.
Yeah.
I don't know. Road rage gets on my nerves. I can probably count on one hand how many times I have submitted to a road rage situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, there's there's only one other really that I've done something that.
And I know that story too.
It was kind of petty. So that story was we were in a busy area. There was one poor guy. We were at a stoplight, and this was right around. No, I was about to say right around Christmas season, but no, it wasn't. But it was another time where it was just kind of there was a lot of traffic. And there was this one poor guy that was sitting at an exit, and he just could not even get in. Nobody would let him in. And we were right there to stoplight. So I stopped to let him in. And when I did that, the guy behind me laid on his horn. Well, I had been sitting there. I knew that poor guy had been sitting there for 3 cycles of the light and could not get out. I felt sorry for him. So in the moment, I felt like, hey, I'm being a good person here and a good Samaritan here. And he pulls out. Well, we get up to the next green light. That guy's just constantly, it's not just one. It wasn't just the one laying on the horn. He's mad at me, and he's just keeps beeping at me. The light turns green, and I go up to the line, and then I stop, and I wait, and I wait. And my wife is fussing at me and fussing at me. And I wait, and then I pull out. I didn't pull out. I pulled up just so I could be just past the stop line, and then it turned yellow, and then I waited, and then I turned left and left him sitting there at the light for another cycle. Now, while part of me still thinks that's funny, I will admit I do not suggest that for anybody because I don't, how mad could that guy have been? And I've heard people getting shot over a parking place at places, so that was stupid. Really what I did was I did something petty, and I didn't know what this guy's intentions or how mad he was or what he may have had on him or anything else. I really technically kind of put myself and my wife in danger. Now, would I do that again? No. It's not worth it. Now, in that moment, did I feel justified a little bit? Yes. But you can't go off the feelings that you have in those moments.
Highway justice warrior.
But you can't go off your feelings of, just your feelings in general in those moments. You really just can't. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my two. Do you have any road rage stories you would like to say?
Oh gosh, most of them are just when my husband's driving. He does experience road. He doesn't. He is not someone who does a tremendous amount of stupid things while driving. You know, or a tremendous amount of petty things. But he does get really mad. At other drivers. But when we were still dating or we were engaged or something, this was in a year where he was in between jobs and he was working at Walmart as a cart pusher at the time. Mm-hmm. And he was on his way to work. In a 55 mile per hour zone, he got behind someone doing 35.
Yeah.
And, that is a tremendous reason to pass someone.
Yes.
So he comes up. Obviously, he ends up fairly close behind the person because when someone's going 35 and a 55, if you come over a hill, you're probably going to be right on their bumper fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so he backs up. The mistake he made was not realizing that flashing people ticks them off. Because he had only actually been driving for like a year and a half at that point.
Well, they used to say to beep your horn before you pass somebody. Really, that is just a challenge to a lot of people.
Yeah, but he just clicked his lights on to give them, like, for a split second, try and give them a chance to speed up if they wanted to, and they took it as I don't know. But he went to pass them, and they all of a sudden, like, speed up really fast. And at this point, he's already in the other lane.
Yeah.
And slamming on the brakes and getting back behind the person is a really bad idea most of the time. So he continued, and he got past them. Well, they turn their brights on and speed up and just tailgate him. And so he pulls into the Walmart parking lot, doesn't get out of his car. He's now just driving around the Walmart parking lot, and this car is just remaining in the parking lot. Well, about the time that he realized how far they were chasing him and everything, he's still on the highway at this point, he sent me a text with a license plate number and a
text and
car
drive,
description.
kids.
He used speech to text.
Okay. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yes, he used speech to text.
If you ever get a text from me while I'm driving, that's the same thing. It's like, hey, Siri, text Jada.
Yeah. Well, that's what he did, and I was really confused because I just received a license plate number out of nowhere and the description of a car, and I was like, is he texting the right person? Is he okay? And I'm in the middle of like a dinner gathering with my god sister and my cousin. That sounds bad. I am not in any way related to my god sister. You know, it was just that if if my parents died, I was gonna live with their family. That was
that's not.
I know,
nobody
but
takes that.
But a
like
lot of
that.
time, but a lot of time people choose godparents that are related to them.
But we also have had
Mine are not related to me, and
They're not related.
my god sister married my cousin. So
That's not weird, Jada.
I know it's the song "Sweet Home Alabama" still plays in my head. It was weird for me when it happened, because we were raised almost like we were related, but they were not. So, anyway.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's just still a little weird for me. Sorry. If either of you listen to this, you probably don't. But, yeah, they were at our house, and I came up to my dad. I was like, does this make any sense to you? And he was like, no. He was, call him. And so I called him, and he goes, yeah, I'm being chased. And he told me what happened, and he goes, and so they seem super mad, and now I'm about to pull into the Walmart parking lot, and they are still following me. And, like, they were speeding up just right an inch away from his bumper, and then, like, pulling back, and then speeding up, and then pulling back, really aggressive.
Yeah.
And so he's terrified to get out of the car. Mm-hmm. And so I tell my dad that, and Dad was like, all right, I'm going to go. And then my cousin, he goes, well, I'm going too. And so they jump into the car. I can't remember if my brother went too or not. But they all jump in the car. And Walmart is 15 minutes away. They got there in 10. I choose not to question that. So they pull into the parking lot to find Cody, my husband. And Cody had made a beeline for the inside of the store because he couldn't see the car for a minute. As soon as he got in the door, he saw one of our friends who happens to be a personal trainer and everything. And they were like, what are you doing here? And he told them, our friend was like, well, I'm going to stay with you. And so he just has an entire cavalry there at Walmart with him. And eventually that car just leaves the parking lot. But that was one of his most scary instances because they were trying to have a full confrontation with him. And it was very dangerous behavior. And not only that, but it was just also a very sketchy vehicle.
Yeah. As you grow and mature and you do things like that, again, you mature, and that's a good thing. We stop doing quite as stupid stuff. We start to not get emotional over certain things, or at least you should.
Stop and think how much something really matters.
Yeah.
I try my best not to even get mad anymore, whenever somebody's going insanely below the speed limit if I also don't have a time crunch on when I'm supposed to be somewhere.
Yeah.
If it's the weekend and I'm just going to run a couple errands, but there's no time crunch on those errands, and I get behind someone going like 5 under the speed limit, I don't bother passing them because I don't have any rush to get there.
Well, that makes one of us. But
it's just because
I don't flash them or honk my horn or do anything else before
I
do that.
have seen so many experiences where you do pass somebody and they get really mad or they try to speed you up. Like another instance Cody had was he went to pass somebody and they sped up and basically made him play chicken with another car.
I've been there before.
Yeah, they try. Like, why are you trying to run somebody into another vehicle? Like,
because people are stupid.
You were going too slow. They passed you because it's their right. Don't speed up and try to run them into another car. That was an instance where Cody did have to slam on his brakes and go back behind somebody when they were going 15 below the speed limit in the first place.
Yep.
I just don't risk it anymore. No. I don't.
No, I get it completely.
On the interstate,
I don't know that my wife has ever passed anyone on a 2-lane road. No.
Or just
ever passed anyone on a 2-lane road.
Wow.
Now, like on an interstate or something like that, or a highway where there's multiple lanes.
Yeah, that's
going
different.
in the same direction.
Like, if someone's going 5 below the speed limit on there, yes, I'm going to pass them. But that is a multiple lane road, and it's a whole lot easier and less dangerous because there are no cars coming the other way. We live in a very rural area, so most of the roads that we see are 2-lane.
Yeah.
Road rage gets on my nerves. That's something that I just have to stop in the moment and go, what could be going on underneath? You know, like this person could have been in an accident recently. This person could be a new driver. This person could just not realize that that is a rule of the road, you know, or there could be something wrong with their vehicle that makes it hard for them to go a certain speed. And I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. My husband's not really that way.
Yeah.
He's just like, what is this idiot doing? And I'm just like, they could just be elderly. He's like, well, why are they driving? And I'm like, but when you start losing your eyesight, do you want to just stop immediately driving, or are you just going to slow down a little bit and drive safer so that you can keep taking yourself place? He's like,
it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So let's learn from our mistakes here. You guys learn from our mistakes. You want to let rude and impatient drivers pass. Mm-hmm. If that means pulling over, pull over. I have honestly slowed down in passing zones to allow someone to pass me who has been tailgating me because they come up on my butt really, really fast. And the next passing zone, I just kind of slow down a little bit to allow them to just go on around me completely and totally unopposed because I think, you know what, I'm not in any big hurry. I usually drive, just on average, I drive the speed limit or, 5 miles an hour over. But like, if I'm in a situation somebody's wanting to go much faster than that, I'm not going to let them push me down the road. If we get to a, passing zone, I will let them slow down maybe 5 under the speed limit just to let them go around me. If not, you can always kind of like pull over and let them pass. So that's also a possibility. Somebody comes right up on your butt and don't let them push you down the road. I promise you can get in trouble for that. I know many people who have gotten pulled over because they let someone else push them down the road.
Yeah, and there's a lot of anger around like certain kinds of vehicles too. Mm-hmm. I come from a family that is like heavily into like motorcycle riding and everything. People drive stupidly around motorcycles too.
Sometimes, yeah.
And you need to understand that your road rage can
kill someone, especially on a motorcycle.
Especially on a motorcycle. Yep. Don't drive too close to them. And if they speed up and take off, don't take it as a sign of aggression. Take it as they're trying to make sure that they stay safe, because they do not have walls around them. They are very likely to die or be maimed if they fall off.
Do some people on motorcycles do stupid stuff? Yes.
Yes, they do. And someone told me recently that they're convinced that most motorcycle accidents are the motorcyclist's fault. And I was just like, I don't really think that that's an opinion that anybody really needs to try and take. Maybe if you just kind of focused on trying to make sure that people don't die, you would be a little bit less angry about the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm kind of focused on bigger problems. I really don't care whose fault it is. My opinion is that everyone should stop behaving stupidly and doing stupid stuff and take other people's lives into consideration.
Yep.
And just calm down the road rage. Calm down. Because in the end, if everybody just calmed down a little bit, everyone would be a little bit less angry.
Agreed.
And less stupid stuff would be done. Now, there's also people that get really mad at mopeds. Now, in one sense, I definitely understand You know, I understand why you would be very frustrated that on your way to
Don't
work
drive
you're
in the
behind
center of the lane if you're on a moped.
Yeah.
You're asking for people to be pissed off at you.
But please remember that you are also very upset about the gas prices going up really high.
Yes.
And that person on the moped might not be able to really afford anything else. There was a time when gas was up like well into the $3 and $4.
Yeah.
You know, this was around the 2009, 2010 era.
Oh, it got up to $4 and $5.
Yes. And my dad owned a vehicle that got 7 to 8 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
And he had to drive back and forth to work every day. We are not a wealthy family. He had 5 children, you know. That is a lot of people to support in that time with one income. So he got a moped because he really could not afford anything else, and his motorcycle was broken. He had people fly up on him and bump the back of his moped just because, you know. And he is not one of those people that refuse to, like, pull over and let people pass. It's just they would fly up and bump him for no reason. So he always warns people not to get a moped because of people's anger around those vehicles.
Yeah.
When he just needed to be able to afford to get back and forth to work. So maybe calm down a little.
Yeah.
Because people are struggling, and when you're struggling, you do what you have to get to work.
If other drivers aggressively cut you off, maybe they brake check you or any kind of other aggressive behavior, the goal would be don't lose your cool. You need to be a patient person. Patience is a wonderful, wonderful virtue that I work on and struggle with. But, you know, be more patient. Avoid making eye contact with the person who may do this
Yes,
to
don't be
you.
the person that drives by and just, like, stares someone down. Like, how dare you inconvenience me?
Yeah. And definitely don't start making gestures. You know, and all this.
Yeah, there was a time when I first started driving that my turn signal went out. And I didn't know that my turn signal was out until I clicked on it to turn, and it just, like, hung there and did one long beep instead of, you know, a whole bunch of the little beeps.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my turn signal must be broken. Well, I still had to turn, and I was completely free to turn, but this lady who wanted to turn left and could have if I was the one turning right, you know, she assumed I was going straight, so she was waiting for me to turn, or me to go straight when I was just turning. I take the turn because my right turn signal's broke, and she screams out her window that I am an a-hole. And I'm just sitting here like...
I thought you was going to tell me like you
was-
used like the hand signals for the left-hand turn or the right-hand turn or
think
whatever.
about it. It broke on the spot right there
Yeah.
as I was starting to turn. And so I realized, like, as I'm going around, like, it's not working. So it was just one of those
I
things
imagine
where...
if she's going to call you an a-hole for not using your turn signal, she must do that a lot because there are a lot of people that don't use their turn signals.
Yeah,
Maybe you just did it
I
on the
don't
wrong day.
know. It does annoy me when people don't use turn signals. But
Yeah.
that's another thing of, you know, I've been in a point where my turn signal was broken, you know, and just unexpectedly, or I didn't realize it was broken for like part of a ride. Because like I said, I was a new driver.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to realize why it was doing one long beep and the light wasn't flashing. And technically that could have also been an electrical issue. So, like, as I'm doing this turn, I'm trying to figure out if my turn signal's broken or if my electrics are broken.
Yeah.
But I've still got to get to where I'm going, and, you know, you don't just sit at a right turn lane because that takes off the people behind you. So, you know, I get called an a-hole, and it stressed me out. My mom was in the passenger seat going, it's not your fault. There's not much you can do about that. She was just going to be ticked off, you know. She was probably already ticked off about something. So just, guys, don't get mad about things that really aren't worth getting mad about. In the end, what are you wasting? A maximum of, like, a minute of maybe sitting through another light?
Yeah.
You know, it's usually not that bad.
So if you commit a driving error, and we are humans, we are imperfect, we've all committed errors. So if you commit a driving error, apologize if at all possible. If you can, apologize. Okay? If you can't, don't. But if you can, apologize. And if the driver gets angry, just go back to everything we said about with the aggressive driver. You know, don't lose your cool, don't make eye contact, and don't make angry gestures back at the driver. So let's talk about a sponsor we hadn't talked about in a while. Still, the best tactical pin in the game.
Yes, and they have the world's most advanced tactical pin.
Well, that's what I was kind of talking about.
Yeah. So that is out. The Stealth Pro is out. It is fantastic.
Yep. We are now going through some videos. We've already released some. We will be releasing more. This basically the Stealth Pro pin versus this pin. The Stealth Pro pin versus this pin. So, yep. We're just going to keep doing that as long as people either send us pins, because we've had some people send us pins, or, if we find something, we say, hey, that would be a good kind of thing to kind of go up against the Stealth Pin Pro and see how we like it. If you are interested in the best stealth pin, in our opinion, in the world, then go over to impactgear.live/stealthpin, and that's going to take you over there. Then use the coupon code Impact Defense, and it'll get you an extra 20% off of that pin. It is phenomenal. It is very well priced. It is something that I can carry with me at any time. I'm really, really a big fan of it. All right, guys. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. Please go write a review. Leave us some 5-star reviews some places and write a review so we can read those on the podcast. And thanks again for listening to another episode, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.